So now that I've given you a little bit of background information on running GStreamer on a HawkBoard and being able to access the digital signal processor, what are some next steps? Well, if you're a hobbyist and you really want to learn about this, I recommend you take a look at the show-off, because show-off has instructions on how to build and run the example that I talked about earlier, so you can see a completely implemented iUniverse and how it ties in with the GStreamer and what we had to do to make that accessible as a new GStreamer element in the DMAI plugin. So you can see those bits of it. If you are looking to, you have some funding and you're looking to make a product, then one of the things that RidgeRun can help you out with is we provide professional services to make it easy so you can focus on your algorithm and let RidgeRun focus on the other bits. For both cases, RidgeRun has a SDK, a Linux SDK targeted for the HawkBoard. Can you go to the next slide, Lori? And I wanted to be able to say in this presentation that you can go to our website and download it right now, but that I do not believe is quite a true statement. I was testing it out last week and it's ready to go, but I don't think we've uploaded it to our website yet, but you can anticipate that in a day or two. Our SDK is an evaluation SDK. If you're a hobbyist, feel free to use it all you want. If you're developing a professional product, then you can use it to evaluate whether it would meet your needs. The SDK has integrated in it the bootloader, the kernel, PIs, DVSDK, and lots of common applications that you would use in an embedded device, BusyBox, and other applications. It has a My Apps area where you can have your own applications. You can add your own applications, and we have examples of that. And this particular SDK for the HawkBoard has show-off integrated into it. So when you type make, it will build the show-off and link it together. So it has all the pieces you need for showing you how to add an iUniversal DSP algorithm to the codec server, create an extension to GStreamer plugin to support your new DSP algorithm, and it's all been customized to work for the HawkBoard. So earlier this week I was running the show-off demo on my HawkBoard. The other aspect that people really like about our SDK is we have something called the U-Boot installer, and that hides all of the memory addressing that's typically associated with loading your kernel and saving it, or loading the file system and saving it to NAND. And so we have all of that integrated, so you can just type make install and it will talk to your HawkBoard and download all of those images for you. So in summary, there are three aspects to GStreamer. We had your way cool Linux application that is making some calls into the GStreamer for doing media handling, and then that is routing the control messages and the data to be processed by your way cool DSP algorithm. And so you can focus on algorithm and let GStreamer take care of all the rest of making available the great IOs that exist on the HawkBoard. So at this time, I'm ready for questions.
Presentation mode is now disabled.
So for those on the phone, at this time, you can please feel free to verbalize any questions that you might have. Here is a question, Todd. Is HawkBoard powerful enough to stream, for example, 320 by 240, 30 FPS, H.264, or MPEG-4 video in real time using an existing DMAI plugin?
Yes. That was say the resolution again, 320 by 240?
Yes.
Yes, that is exactly what Show Off does. So that's the resolution supported by Show Off, and the two pipelines that you just described, I'm not sure if they said they were encoding or decoding, but the Show Off application shows how those audio and video can be decoded and then sent to the audio out and VGA chip or the VGA interface on the HawkBoard. We are working on the encode side as well. We have video encode working and we have audio encode working, but when we do them at the same time, that's not working at this point, but that's one of the details that we're working on.
There's another question. There's the video input as normal V4I2 source.
Video for Linux 2 source.
Can you give an example? A simple GStreamer pipeline that will read from a composite NTSC source and write to a file.
Yeah, so there's a couple different parts to that question. So one of the details that people oftentimes are challenged with is passing the correct kernel command line parameters from the U-boot to the kernel to properly configure their video in. And so that's one of the things that you would need to check. And then the second one is that there's a lot of detailed parameters. I gave the example of location equals music.mp3. In GStreamer, when you're working with video on embedded devices, you tend to need to be pretty specific about explaining exactly what you want to do. On desktop devices, the CPUs are so powerful that you can just say, hey, just take a guess, and the choices that get made tend to work well on a desktop environment. When you try doing the same thing in an embedded environment, what happens is the choices that get made don't allow you to take optimal advantage of all the resources that we have available on the embedded device. So we tend to specify pipelines in much more specific detail. That wiki that I described earlier that has information about iUniverse, if you go there and say GStreamer example pipelines, search for GStreamer example pipelines, it will give you a variety of pipelines that show these extra parameters that I'm talking about being required. At this point, I don't think that there's an NTSC input example on that pipeline. If you whoever asked the question, if you drop me an email, I'll route it to the engineer we have supporting the HawkBoard input side and see if I can't get some other pipeline details to show you how to do that. The other thing is when you get a pipeline right in GStreamer, please share it with the rest of the HawkBoard community. So there's wonderful collaboration tools for HawkBoard. Please not only post your questions to the .org website, but please also, when you have a good success, share it with others. So as you resolve this issue of what's the proper kernel command line and GStreamer command line to use in order to do NTSC video capture, when you get that working right, please share it with the others, the rest of the community as well.